How's everybody doing? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yes.
Yay. Okay, I'm testing out a new mic. So great. Okay, so hi everyone. I'm Dr. Elam. I help entrepreneurs. Hi, how are you? I help entrepreneurs and business owners reignite their passion in their business and find time to enjoy it again and enjoy their fulfilled lives. So, things that go along with business ownership or creating a business that is successful can kind of alleviate some of that passion that you had. And we forget about our why when we are building and creating something. So when we get into business, we get into it for our passion, for our gift. But then we realize that businesses are much more. They're admin work, they're calls, they're finding clients. Like somebody said, they're marketing, right? You have to go into a whole school. You learn so much when you first start your business. And it's most of the things that you don't think about when you're going after that passion and that why, which is so brave and so courageous and so incredible. So I want you to all remind yourselves how brave, courageous, and incredible you are, because not everybody listens to that little quiet voice inside of them that tells them what their passion is and what their gift is. So if you could each give yourself a high five, even if it's internal, or you could clap right now, just know. Yeah, there you go. Yeah, we celebrate the wins. Now, what you all are telling me is what I hear a lot from my clients. One, time. Time is a big issue. Two, like I said, like the marketing, the finding the clients, right? You're like, can the clients just show up so I can do my gift, right? I think that's what every entrepreneur would love, that would be great. And then also, the like Steve said, the burnout, you get in the grind, you have your time, you're spread too thin trying to help so many, like he said, the associations or other things that you're involved in. And then you forget to work on like the you and the why. So hopefully by the end of our talk, I will have given you some tools that you can utilize and kind of to find your way out of this and into a place where you can wake up reminded of your why and your passion. So my talks, as I said, are interactive. So please, come in with questions. Don't do it in the chat. Just come off mic and ask me. So that's how we're gonna roll here. Is that good with everybody? Okay, yay. And don't mind, my daughter's downstairs, so you may hear her like Tom's dogs. Okay, so I heard time as an issue, and I want to talk about something that seems to trip up most entrepreneurs. It's a very common thing, and that is not having boundaries in your calendar. Who here is really good with boundaries? I am now. It's been a long time, but who's good with boundaries? Yeah, we've got one. Okay. I don't see anybody in the gallery, but all right. So boundaries, your time boundaries, your calendar. Many of you probably, I'm guessing because this is the usual, you have like 9 or 10 things that you're juggling each day. Is that true for many of you? Yeah. Okay. So interesting fact. I use a lot of neuroscience in my tools. Your brain can only handle 3 important tasks a day. Seriously, 3 important tasks. That's it. And if you're a parent, take one of those off. Your brain is already on one of those. So you only have 2. So what I want you to do is something called block scheduling. Who knows about block scheduling? Anyway? Okay. So block scheduling is where you take parts of your calendar and you block off certain focuses. So if you want to photograph clients, you do it these particular days each week. So you are focused on that. And then you need to do your admin on other days or your marketing. Like you could have a marketing and admin day, and you have photography day, and then you have your social media day. So parsing out your day and blocking it off in the calendar is a way to be more effective with your time, because what happens is it takes 20 or 30 minutes for your brain to get back into focus once it's been interrupted. And for you to get into that deep creative work, many of you were like, I got into this, I'm passionate, I'm kind of losing my creativity. Well, when is the last time you allowed yourself to get deep into the work without distractions? You turned your phone off and you were able to just be in your work and be in your why.
How do you turn your wife off? Oh.
What?
How do you turn your wife off?
He said.
Did you hear that?
Dang, Ted.
Exactly.
I'm in my office and she shows up at the door.
Okay. I think was that a question?
Yeah.
He said,
Yeah,
Karen.
okay.
He said,
All
how
right.
do you turn your wife off?
Your spouse.
Your spouse.
Oh, your wife. Okay, now I can hear. Okay, how do you turn your wife off? Okay, well, that could be a whole different subject. That's a whole different subject of boundaries. You all could have dedicated time. Like my partner and I, we 10 to 4 every day. Those are our work times. We both work from home. So unless it's something super positive or an emergency, we don't bother each other. So we do slide cute notes under each other's doors sometimes, things like that. But yes, if you're working at home with your partner, it's another type of boundary, different than your calendar boundary, but do have boundaries with other people. And that doesn't have to be just your spouse. That could be your parents if you're taking care of them. That could be friends who need you and they're like, why can't I get in touch with you? These are things where many entrepreneurs are also givers and you want to help people. So when your friends are in need or other people are in need, you're probably the person that they come to. I'm not generalizing everybody, but you're probably somebody that they come to. So sometimes if you want to utilize tools that will help you to get back into that creative edge and back into that why and that passion, you have to learn to have boundaries with people and your calendar. Any questions on that? No. Steve, what do you think about a block schedule? Do you think that would help you?
Well, it's funny that you mentioned scheduling. I consider myself completely retired now, and I find that I ask myself periodically, how did I do everything I did when I was working full time? Somehow I managed to schedule everything and got it done. Now that I have a lot less on my plate, I don't know how to plan my day anymore to make things happen. So, and scheduling, and towards the tail end of my career, I was a certified project manager specializing in project schedules. So I know all about scheduling, but I don't apply it to myself.
Okay, or you haven't I would say you haven't found a way that works best for you.
Correct.
Yeah.
Maybe I have too much free time and I'm not using it properly, which makes me seem like I'm always busy.
Yeah, and busyness can make us seem like we're actually doing things when really we're not accomplishing anything. Does anybody have that issue where you've been like, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. I was busy all day, but then you realize you didn't accomplish anything? Yeah.
I've been retired because I was telling, the group here that I've been retired for 2 years, and I said, wow, have I been retired for 2 years? But I've been trying to keep myself busy doing this, doing that, working with MDPPA and church work and all that. And, I've been sick over the past month. It kind of slowed my roll down that I got to get some things off my plate. But I like to enjoy things too. But then, like what Steve was saying, trying to schedule, time for the day or what to do. When I went to work and then the children were younger and all that, how do you do all this and get it done and still have evening time for, wife and family? Because my wife works sometimes at home during the day, and she's a stickler for that. If she's at home, she doesn't want to be bothered. However, I want to talk a little bit, but still, we kind of did the upstairs, downstairs things. And so now with her, being home more, during the week, I have to either find myself, either go into the bedroom or just go downstairs. But again, we just had our house remodeled, trying to get the house straightened out and all that, but just trying to, I understand the 3 things a day you only can do for so much, but trying to define that 1 or 2 things to do during the day and actually get it done instead of talking about it and executing on it.
So what that sounds like is it's a goal issue. So what is the most important goal to you in like this month? If you look at it like in a monthly way, it's much easier to look at it a month than like 3 months, a whole quarter out. So what is my most important goal for this month? And then all that you do for that month is you do things daily that will move the needle towards that goal. So the 3 things that you want to focus on, and 2 if you're a parent, right? Because you're already doing the 3rd one. Focus, make sure every day that you're doing things that are moving the needle towards that goal that you decided was most important for that month. And that will give you structure, because it sounds like both Steve and Tom, it sounds like you both are lacking structure, because when you retired, you had that structure in place, but now that you're retired, that structure isn't there for you. So the best way to bring about structure for yourself and to have it for yourself, discipline for yourself, is to give yourself the biggest goal and the biggest why. And then also know that as human nature, what we do is, did anybody watch the Harry Potter series where there was a monster that it would fill every space it was given? Like it would fill a really tiny space and it would fill a big house. Anyways, I'm telling you this because it's really cool, because this is what human beings do with time, right? So have you ever, those that are working for others and you're getting ready to go on vacation and you have like a list of so many things that you need to do, and it's the day before you go on vacation and you like get them all done in like 4 hours, what you thought would have taken 2 days, right? So what I'm saying there is, we get things done in the amount of time that we give it, right? So if we give ourselves a task that takes 30 minutes, but we give ourselves 2 hours, we will do it in 2 hours, right? Does anybody see where I'm getting at? Yeah. So it's human nature. So that's why time blocks are so important, structured time blocks, because what you're saying to yourself, it's like a discipline, it's a click in your mind. You have this allotted time to get it done. You will focus on this and you will get it done. So it's like a checklist for your mind when you see it on your calendar. That's why it's very important, especially for those of you who are visual. And I would think everybody here is a photographer, is very visual. Putting it on your calendar, blocking those times off, because you are giving yourself the allotted time. So you're telling your brain, this is the time you have for this, no more, no less. So then, you won't want to check email. You won't want to, like pick up that phone call. You'll silence your phone if it isn't something that's going to help you get to the goal.
That's for sure.
Thank you. Any questions on that? The whole monster. If you haven't watched Harry Potter, you really should. It's really good. Okay, and goals. Goals are so important because you really need to have a why to get you through any how, right? If you have a strong enough why, if you have a strong enough goal, and you see your goals daily, if you see my office, you'll see that like I have my vision board on my wall. I have like the goals on poster boards of like everything that I want to accomplish this year. I make sure it's very visual. I get to see it every day, because when you see it every day, you're wiring your brain to make sure that you are, as a being with your brain, working like a neuroscience function to move towards that goal, right? So if your brain sees it, it has this cool system called the reticular activating system. Has anybody heard of that? The RAS system?
No.
So super cool. I could talk about it. Yeah, I could talk about it for hours. It's basically the filter that filters all the stimuli that's happening to you, like each hair. We're going to get real granular, but each hair on your arm is picking up stimuli, and it filters what you're actually going to be able to feel. Because if you felt all these millions of stimuli coming at you, you would go insane, of course. So what it does is it filters that and only gives you the things that are most important. Now, the reason I say this is that it's very cool in terms of, I'm sure everybody's heard of the term manifestation, right? Manifestation is not just woo-woo, it's actually neuroscience, because the RAS system actually works. If you tell it consistently, this is my goal, this is what I want to do, it will move you towards that in ways that you might have only thought was chance. And I say that to say, have you ever decided you wanted to do something and then all of a sudden you started picking up on conversations when you were at a coffee shop of people who were talking about that, when before you would have never noticed that? Anybody? Yeah. Thank you, Danny. Yeah, that is your RAS system at work. You have established that this is a new goal, this is important to you, and the RAS is going to help you filter out what is important to you to achieve that goal. So I say that to say, utilize neuroscience to get you back into that place where you feel passionate and back into that place where you are thriving in your business, not just surviving. So how we do that is figure out what your most important goals are. First, your goal for this month and your goal for the year. And like, what do you want in your business? Like, what is most important to you? And then knowing that goal and having a visual like of it every day where you can see it either in the written word or in pictures on a vision board would really help you. Does anybody have any questions on that?
Yes,
Yay.
you have a goal and you work towards that goal, you constantly fail to reach that goal. What do?
So let's see. There's really no such thing as failure unless you give up. So failure is just a lesson along the way towards success. So if you're telling me that you had a goal and you did not achieve it yet, you feel like you're on the brink of failure, that is definitely something that we could talk about. But otherwise, each failure is a step towards the reaching of your goal as long as you don't give up.
So we'll keep entering our images for infants competition and keep getting those 79s.
How often do you think about winning that?
Every day.
Like every day you take time to like think about it and what it would be like to win it, getting the feeling of winning
It's been a goal for the last 2 years. It hasn't been achieved yet. And it's
Okay.
very frustrating to keep trying and trying, and the judges say, no, you're not good enough.
Close. You're close.
Close. Yeah.
Close, man.
But not there.
There, Ted.
Ted, that's a great conversation to have.
So I was just watching a movie called Naiad. Have you ever seen it?
Yes.
Phenomenal, right? She didn't
Yeah.
give up. Man, she could have given up. And she eventually got it. And then if you haven't met your goal yet, then what do? You redefine and you ask questions, right? Because the quality of our life is directly proportioned, Danny taught me this, to the quality of our questions. And what question are you asking yourself each year? Is it a yearly thing or a quarterly thing? The competition. Anyways, I'm going to say it's a yearly. So what questions are you asking yourself after that year mark where you find out this year wasn't my year? Are you asking yourself about the pictures? What could I have done better? What could I have done different? What could I have shifted?
Yep. All the above. Take more classes, practice, try again, submit some more, spend some more money on submitting. And wait for the judges to say 79.
Well, don't give up. Does anybody else have a question on goals and goal settings and you're like, why? No, okay. So we've talked about why. and
Kara,
why-
Kara, for what? I'm sorry to interrupt you. 1 second.
Oh, yeah, go for it.
I put a link, I apologize for doing this up front, but there's a book about what she's talking about called Start With Why by Simon. What is Simon's last name? It's in the link. I put a link in the chat if you guys want to look at it. It's a cool book. So if you wanted to figure out your why, listen to it on audio or pick it up on Amazon.
I appreciate that. Yeah, your why, very, very important. Your why will get you through anyhow. Your why will get you through burnout. Your why will get you through those stressful days where you aren't getting the client answers that you want, where your client said no when you already actually did this big presentation. Your why is the most powerful thing you can have in your pocket with you when you are doing your business work. So your why. Now, blocking your schedule with boundaries and having boundaries with people. This is something else that we talked about that was very important. Before we move on to anything else, do we have any questions on those? So I'm going to say, hopefully when you leave tonight, when you think about it in your drive home or before you go to bed, because actually what you think about before you go to bed, it helps integrate into your neural capacity and rewires neurons while you sleep. So very good to think about things that you want to accomplish the next day right before you go to sleep, or new information that you want to internalize. So I say that to say, hopefully before you go to bed tonight, you will think about what is your why. What true goals do you want to achieve that are really needle moving goals to get you to that next level in your business where you feel invigorated again and you're enthusiastic about the day? How many of you feel enthusiastic about your work day right now? Yay, I'm so happy. Yay. That's good. And we have 2. And high five for you.
No, it's different. She said about.
All right. Well, I want to get you to a place where you feel enthusiastic and definitely optimistic for tomorrow, for your next day. Now, something else we talked about that I heard was, and when you all shared, was the marketing and the client capture. So can anybody chime in and tell me like what that block is or that resistance is?
Not so much that I'm retired. A lot of things that I said when I retired that I said that I was going to do that I have not done. And then, I always write down that I'm going to submit my images for print competition, even though I have participated. But getting to the last minute and then not having the images and stuff, going out there doing like I said I was to take the images, because I get a little frustrated at times too with the 79s. I've submitted images and all that, 79, 78, and then you ask for a critique and they said, well, I would have done it this way, done it that way. And I think I submitted when we were doing the print competition with the film day, they didn't like the mat that I put on there. So I submitted another mat and they didn't like that one. So I said, now, what do you do? So I just kind of went back and did another mat. And then I guess they gave me a thumbs up and I got a award that I didn't even know I got. And they said, well, you won. I said, but I had to go through 2 different mats. They said the image was good, but they didn't like the mat. But I know everything, for print competition is subjective on any given day, but still, these 79s instead of, 8. But it's trying to, I guess, mainly for me to write things down on paper and actually executing them instead of thinking about them and not going through the execution part of it and see where I fall out of it.
Okay, is that so? What I'm garnering from that is that the competitions are very, very important, and it kind of interferes with your ability to bring in clients.
No.
I think he's saying it interferes with his confidence because it is subjective. And it's at least for me. You mean talk louder? I think I can talk louder. I think.
Oh yeah, please. Thank you so much.
I think what he's saying is that the print competitions interfere with his own confidence, so he doesn't feel comfortable enough going out and marketing when other photographers have said that the work is good, but not good enough to get the awards.
Can I chime in on that one?
Now I understand. Okay, thank you. Sorry, I couldn't hear, so thank you so much. Well, let me ask you this: do you think your work is good enough?
Yes.
Yeah.
That was
Okay.
one.
And
Go ahead.
do you have clients who have told you that your work
Yes.
really impacted them, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I've had some brides that actually cry when they saw the wedding albums.
Okay, all right. So if you know your work is good, you have client testimonials saying that your work is good, what does it matter what these other people think? Are these other people paying your bills?
No.
Exactly,
No.
Tommy.
Right.
Yeah.
Greenbacks are better than blue ribbons.
So what I would employ you to do is in situations like that where you feel like your confidence is wavering because of an opinion of somebody else, is to look at client testimonials, read client testimonials, remind yourself Why did I get into this business? Because I know I'm good. I would not have stepped off into this like brave and courageous shore
Mhm.
if I did not know that I was good.
Right. It works.
Good. All right. That's for everybody. Please, when you're feeling like your confidence is waning or somebody might make you feel like you're not good enough, read your client testimonials. Remind yourself of why you got into this. Look at your work that you know is stellar and just remind yourself.
Look at the invoices where people paid you, Tommy.
That again?
Look at the invoices of where people paid you
Right.
versus the $10 critique you got from Jeff Tucholsky.
Those are the green merits.
I love those green merits. Those green ribbons are better than blue ones, Tommy.
Right. I heard that. True.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what about marketing and getting clients? Tell me what's going on there.
I just have to sit down and do it. I've kind of been procrastinating on my business plan for this year, but that is a work in progress. I'm in the wedding season. This is the wedding season now. And I know that I have up until October to get some weddings for this time of the year. And I guess my contractor or the person I had been working with prior to the pandemic said just set your goal for 5 weddings. So I think between now and October, I can get 5 weddings between now and then. Just have to.
Okay. All right.
Goddamn.
If you think you can, right? Henry
Yeah.
Ford said that, and take that with you. You know, whether you think you can or you can't, you're right.
Right.
Now, so for many of you, is delegation an issue?
Yep.
Is delegation an issue?
Sure.
I ask that because would it be probable or possible for you all to be able to do what's in your zone of genius and delegate the sales and delegate the marketing to people who are, that's their zone of genius? That would free up time and money for you to do your zone of genius. This is just something to think about. And maybe if you don't feel like you're in the right financial spot to do that now, think about it as a goal for later. And also don't forget your most valuable possession is your time. So when you start thinking about delegation and hiring like virtual assistants or somebody that can do the marketing or do the sales calls for you, especially social media marketing, because that's big. And it's always good to have a professional on that. I want you to think about how much time it's costing you for you to work on the social media, you to work on the sales, and you to work on the marketing. When you could just hire someone who that's their zone of genius, so you could stay in your zone of genius. Just something to think about as a possibility going forward. Does that resonate with anybody? Has anybody thought about doing that before this talk? Yeah. So tell me what held you back from actually pursuing that.
Funds,
Yeah.
funding.
The money?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. How many of you actually set your like goal, your quarterly goals, and you know them, you know all your financials, you know what targets you want to hit, and you look at them daily?
Ted.
Ted? Anybody else? Okay, so I'd love to make a suggestion. It goes with that neuroscience RAS continuum, is that I want you to write down what your goal is each quarter and what your goal is for the year. And I want you to look at those goals every day. And I want you to say to yourself, I can make this happen. And I want you to believe it. Because you don't want to be in a business where you feel like you are working but not achieving and not having the life freedom that you want because of money. How many of you all have done the equation? Because this helps a lot as well. The equation, how much do you need for bills? How much do you need for those? And I'm not talking about a budget, but when we think about the word financial freedom, many people think in like exponentials of like the money they actually need. And that blocks them, that keeps them stuck because the number seems much bigger than they could ever achieve. When actually for most people, it's much less than they think. So if you wanted financial freedom, that would give you the time to have somebody do your marketing, have somebody do your social media, have somebody to come in and look at your books and let you be able to do your zone of genius. How much would that mean? So just take your bills and then add a little extra spending money and then see what that would actually cost you. Where could you be? Where could financial freedom be for you? And then it doesn't seem such a big, scary number. Because in money, in monetary terms, it's a taboo topic that we don't talk about enough, but it's one of the biggest obstacles for most business owners because they get stuck. They're like, I have to do everything because I don't want to pay for it. When really what an entrepreneur should do and is best for them in their business is to be able to focus on that zone of genius, that passion that got them to go step into that business in the first place, and delegate the rest. Most entrepreneurs and business owners have three very, very important blocks that keep them from moving forward to achieve what they want. And that is, we've already talked about boundaries. The other one is delegation. Delegation is the biggest one. And the next one is expectations. A lot of entrepreneurs are high achievers. Of course, that's why they stepped out into the entrepreneurial space. They're high achievers, and high achievers have very, very hard expectations, not of others, but of themselves and their work. So sometimes, in many cases, that leads to perfectionism. And then what perfectionism does is it leads you to do way more work than what is necessary in every task. Instead of in some tasks, maybe just doing the minimum to get it done. You have to, everything has to be perfect. So you're putting in too much time into it. Your social media, like it has to look this certain way, when really a lot of times it is just the messaging. And I know you're photographers, so you're like, it's all visual, and that's so true. But when you spend 2 hours on one social media post because you didn't delegate it to somebody else to help you, and that post only gets seen by 3 people, then maybe that wasn't the best use of your time, and you could have used your zone of genius in a different way. Is this resonating with anybody?
So,
Anybody? Oh, go ahead, Danny.
so to chime in with Kara, so Brian, a little bit about what Kara and I do. Knocking into her genius and my genius, we can barter those services. So if you're looking to get something out of somebody, if you need social media help, can you barter with that person for photography? Doesn't always have to be about money. So think about bartering. You got skills to barter.
That's so true. Danny and I barter. Yeah. A lot of business owners who aren't photographers and they're just stepping into the space, they want their brand looking great. But their zone of genius may be something that you need, and you can barter photography for, vice versa. Definitely something great to consider. Great point, Danny. So I asked, did it resonate with anybody? And if it did, could you step up and tell us? Would you share?
Hi. Yeah, I mean, it did resonate with me. It's pretty much what I said when you asked the initial getting to know you questions about what your biggest blocks are. For me, it is that that multitasking and that need to be perfect, or that, perfection. I don't know, like for me, I defend it because a huge part of my business is relational. And so it's in those relations that I have with my potential clients and my clients once they're hired, all the way through. I mean, my relationships with my clients usually start 2 years in advance. I shoot mitzvahs, and so I book 2 years in advance. And so I have definitely struggled with delegating. First of all, because not a lot of people specialize in mitzvahs, but also because that relational aspect is so important. And I do have people tell me it's one of the reasons that they hire me, because I can empathize with my clients. I'm a mitzvah mom myself. I'm the same age as my clients right now. So it is really hard for me to delegate a lot of the tasks that I also love doing. Like when you asked who was enthusiastic about going to work, I definitely am. I definitely find joy in the daily tasks that I do, not just with my photography, but the work around, creating my business and even the administrative stuff. But it's definitely time consuming. It's definitely a time suck. I'm definitely drained and spread way too thin. But yeah, so even not, it's not even financial, because when you talk about figuring out, how much you want to make and what you have to do to make the needle, I actually did the opposite. I actually looked at my books and said, I'm not spending enough time with my family. I don't care how much money it costs me. This is what I value. So this is what I have to do to, not make money, but to be present for my family. So, but yeah, to answer your question, I can definitely relate to the perfectionism, because I definitely spend too much time, hyper focusing on certain aspects of my business.
So one thing I want to say, congratulations to you on the boundaries. You said, I want more time with my family, so this is important to me, so I'm going to make that happen. So that's a big win. So I hope you give yourself a big high five for that. Also, being booked 2 years in advance, that's incredible. Great. Awesome. You should be really, really proud of yourself for those wins. Now, when you said you're like overwhelmed, you're a mom, right? So are you doing more than 2 things every day that require your attention to work things to move the needle?
Well, I have teenagers, so I'm at the point where I can say, screw you guys, fend for yourselves.
Okay.
So I don't have the same mom tasks, although I am still the mom taxi. So yeah, and I can definitely relate to only being able to focus on a few things at once. I definitely know my limits. And I mean, if I have something big in my day, even if I have a shoot in the day, I really can't do much more than prepare for that shoot. And I know that mentally, I thought it was just me being very limited in where I can focus on certain things. But yes, I am a mom.
I may have lost you.
Yeah.
Oh, Sharon, I may have lost you. Is there any? Oh, my internet. No. Did I lose you?
I'm here.
Am I back? Okay, I think I lost. I think you might have lost me for a second. So delegation, is there any way to allow a virtual assistant to come in and help you?
I've tried it, and I've spent a lot of time being unproductive about it. But I definitely hear what you're saying. And it's definitely, it's been on my list for a decade now. And a lot of times I will spend time trying to find somebody, and then I'm like, no, I either miss that relational aspect of it, or doesn't meet my standards, or it's just not worth it. But
Okay, so if push came to shove, because if someone were to say, like, this is a bad example, but if you don't take something off your plate, something bad would happen, right? You would get something off your plate, right? Like if push came to shove, right? So now I say that to say, so why not go ahead and figure out what that thing would have been if push came to shove, and you could let go of that and delegate it, and then be like, okay, so maybe I can delegate that.
Yeah, I do play that game. I play it with $1 million. Like, for $1 million, would you do it? Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
No, it's great. It's great advice. And it's definitely, a lot of the things that you're saying are definitely hitting home and spinning my wheels. And I'm looking forward to laying in bed tonight and letting it all soak in.
Good. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.
So Kara, I was going to say it resonates with me in my executive job. I don't really try to make that much money off photography, but so I tend to say, this is how much I make an hour, much I'm worth an hour, how much I make an hour. If I can pay somebody else to do it for less, then why am I going to do it? So that's what I tend to sometimes think. And then the other thing I was going to say is, especially as I've had bigger jobs, I think I constantly ask myself, is this particular item or activity, worth my attention? Is it really moving the needle? Is it really getting something done? Is the person who's doing it providing it good enough? And it's very, very hard early on so I'd really encourage folks to really kind of get used to that. Not everything has to be done platinum. And can you step back, breathe, and realize that a few of the things could be done by somebody else good enough? And I know it sounds like dropping your standards, but what you're really looking at is, does it matter that much in some ways? So it's hard, but you got to practice it. And I've really done that in my executive job. Otherwise, I'm rewriting everything. I'm nobody writes like I would like to see it written. So if I kept rewriting everything, nothing would ever get done. So you kind of have to give in.
The best is the enemy of good enough.
Mhm.
Mhm.
You hear
Thank
that,
you.
Karen?
Thank you. That was beautifully said. I appreciate that, especially the beginning part when you talked about how you saw yourself in hourly, like this is what I'm worth an hour. And I
Mhm.
implore that you all do that, right? When you think about your time, because it is your most valuable resource, think about, okay, my clients pay me this every hour. Like that's what I'm worth an hour. So when you're thinking about the tasks that you're going to do on your to-do list, what is worth your time, right? And you're thinking about taking a meeting with somebody or taking lunch, like you are not obligated to take every lunch that you're asked to. You're not obligated to meet with every friend that asks you to, so just making sure that you guard your time diligently. And something else we can also talk about is worth. And in thinking about clients and marketing, a lot of the times the block is that you don't think that you are worthy of the clients or worthy of your own prices. Does anybody have that? Does that resonate with anybody? Okay, yay. In the back, Brian, could you tell me?
Yeah, that comes back again to going print competition and thinking, I mean, at least for me, if I'm not getting clients in because they're not seeing my worth, I may feel that my images are worth that, but they may not equate to it.
Okay, and are the competitions where people will see you more, or is it social media where client capture happens most often?
Print competitions, clients won't see that. They'll see the results. They'll see the awards. They'll see what you put out there, what I put out there. But it comes into my own kind of self-image. If I'm not respected enough in my peers, or by my peers, that I don't feel that my prices are set right.
Okay, does that resonate with anybody else? Anybody
Yes.
else? As
Yeah.
far as prices go?
No.
Yes.
Yeah, can you tell me more about that? Because this is new to me, a competition interfering with the prices that you want to set for yourself.
I don't see a relationship between the competition and our clients.
I don't see a relationship with that either.
It's all ego. Competition is all ego. And separate from clients, because my clients love me, but they don't know anything about the competition because I don't tell them.
Correct. I will say this too, backing on what Ted said and Brian, I don't think your client's going to walk into your studio and see a bunch of PPA awards and ribbons on your wall and go, wow, you're really good. They're not. Because I know a lot of studios that have it and don't have any work. And if that's what they're bragging about, that's not going to get you the business. The business part comes from knowing your market, who you want to go after. Look at what Sterling does. You like him, so how does he do it? Does he win all these awards? I don't think he does.
No, Sterling's just very extroverted. He says hi to everybody.
And that's not a bad thing. Because guess what? I met Karen at a coffee shop.
It's a very bad thing for an introvert.
Well, you know what? Talk to Tom Davis about his product that he has, and you may get around that part.
Well, you mentioned something about that, Danny. I was just thinking, going back to Kara's point earlier, is sometimes when we try to save time, it is not always about the people. It's about some of the tools that we're using. And as photographers, we've used some of these tools to death, and there's new stuff that's out there, not necessarily stuff that I'm marketing and everything else, but just there's new tools that combine them that create time in itself. And I've done a lot of audits for photographers, and that is one of the biggest things I'm seeing right now is we are so scattered in all the tools that we're using. And it's not only photographers, it's business people. And we're so stuck with change, not changing. And sometimes you can save a ton of time and a ton of money just by looking at options.
I use Tom's option, and it's a game changer, and it can also help with marketing. Little plug for Tom.
Wait, you use what? You use Tom's? Is that what you said?
Yeah, I use Tom's software. It's a
Oh,
game changer. It's a business game changer.
Tom has a customer relations management database that's pretty freaking slick. So, I mean, not for an infomercial for Tom tonight, but it's something to look at for sure.
What is it, Tom? What is it?
It's
Is that it? Oh, is that it on your name there? Smart.
Yeah, it's Smart Pro Digital, my company, but Smart Leads is the product, which is a CRM tool that does soup to nuts, from marketing, social media planning to a ton of automations. We've set up with Danny and Kara. We've set up a ton of those kind of things, working toward calendars. It takes the place of so many things because as entrepreneurs, we have like Calendarly, we have Active Campaign, we have invoicing software, we have all this, and what I've tried to do is bring all that in and work with processes you're doing to shave time off of that, because some of the stuff we do, we go into 5 applications, it takes this much time. Well, if you can just automate some of that and not take the personal touch away, as you guys were saying and Kara was saying, we still have to have that personal touch, but if we could, all the stuff that's not that personal touch, and maybe we can spend more time with our clients if we can get some of that noise, because it is noise for all of us.
Yeah, and it's noise and it's busy work, right? It makes you think that you're busy and you're doing something, but really it's keeping you away from your zone of genius and keeping you away from keeping that passion for that work that you have. When you're spread too thin, you can't be passionate, you can't be creative because you just don't have that energy. One more thing I'm going to talk about, I know I have like maybe 2 minutes, right, Chris? Worth. Okay, so when we're talking about client capture and sales and what we're asking for our product, our worth, our value, our service, it all comes down to worth. Do you think you're worthy of the prices that you are offering or you are giving? And so something I will just leave you with is to think about that question. Do I feel like I'm worthy for the prices that I'm asking? Because then it makes it so much easier for the sales call to happen. It makes it so much easier for the close to happen. If you feel that you are worthy of that price, of the asking price, your customer, your potential customer is going to feel it, and it's going to be easier to get a yes. And to get more client testimonials. And
you definitely have to believe that, though.
Yes, you have to believe it.
But one of the things that Kara and I talk about, we did today, is when we're talking about value of ourselves, it's not thinking in a negative way or a negative light. So sometimes, and Kara knows I'm guilty of this, I will say I'm not worthy of this price or whatever, but we flipped it and said, I am worthy of this price. I am worthy of all these clients. I am worthy of all this business. And it's a different mindset, because if I'm thinking the other way, I'm repelling this business from coming to me. But if I think the other way, that business should come to me, believe it or not, it does. And it really does. It's a positive change. So that's something you guys could try as well.
Yeah. Thank you, Danny. Does anybody have questions? I know we have like a few minutes for questions.
How can people get in touch with you, Kara, if they need to?
Yes, thank you so much. Well, actually, I'm going to send Chris a link and then she can send it to everybody. So I want to, as a thank you for having me and letting me be here tonight with you all, I'm going to send you a copy of, I created a book. It's about helping you to figure out like your why and what you want your goal to look like in a fulfilled life package. Like, how do I want work to flow into life and what's important to me? And this will help you to create those goals that you want for like the next year that you're going to put on your wall so you can see it every day. So I will send Chris that link, and actually Tom's software helped me with that link. So it's another plug for Tom. And yeah, thank you so much.
Thank you, Karen.
Thank you, Kara.
You're welcome.
I feel like
Thanks, Dr. Kara.
we
Thank
covered a
you.
lot of ground.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
And like you were saying earlier, how you can take something to get it done before you go on vacation, get it done, on the morning of and all that. You said a lot within an hour that, it's food for thought. You had a lot of nuggets in this.
I'm glad it impacted you. I hope
Mhm.
you all walk away feeling more optimistic for tomorrow and the next work week.
Definitely. Dr. Kara is so positive, it's hard not to be optimistic talking to you.
Thank you. I
And
appreciate
thank you for joining us tonight. This was great.
Yes.
it.
Thanks for giving us all this time and all this good energy that we can now take back and reignite and have more fun.
And I'm here if you need me. You'll have my information to get in touch with me when you get the form. And thank you all so much. I'll sign off and let you finish your meeting.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.